Brittney Griner is under fire for extremely aggressive behavior portrayed toward Caitlin Clark, the rookie from last year, the one that has everybody's focus in the WNBA. And this incident has, of course, gone viral online, but also sparked up some other skeletons in Brittney's closet that she...
8 million views in a single day. That's how fast a shaky 6-second courtside clip rocketed across the internet. In it, Brittney Griner bangs into rookie phenom Caitlin Clark, throws a blunt elbow, and appears to mouth the words, "Trash for kazing white girl." No broadcast mic caught the phrase. The league issued no statement, and yet the slur allegation lit every sports feed on fire. Major outlets haven't confirmed the audio, but columns and comment threads exploded, turning one routine foul into a culture war flashpoint. Within hours, partisan creators framed the clip as proof that the WNBA protects woke privilege, while right-wing sites like OutKick and activist Riley Gaines claimed the league even revoked their press access for pushing the story. The more the WNBA stayed silent, the louder the speculation grew, and raw outrage morphed into something stranger. Whispered medical revelations, old prison rumors from Russia, and questions about whether Griner should have been on a women's court at all. If a single elbow can spark talk of suspensions, secret lab tests, and the future of women's sports, what else lies beneath the viral reel the world thinks it already knows? Stick around, because the next 20 minutes unravel a controversy that might rewrite the rulebook for every league on earth.
Griner, who was imprisoned in Russia, in a man's prison, which
The clock showed 2:47 in the second quarter when Brittney Griner bumped Caitlin Clark off a screen, swung an elbow that sent the rookie stumbling, and mouthed something that lip readers on X insist was "trash effing white girl." The league scorekeeper logged only a flagrant one. Courtside mics never picked up audio, and post-game pool reporters got a bland no comment from both benches. Yet within minutes, fan-shot phone footage hit social media, and the 6-second clip outpaced the official highlight reel 8-1 in shares. That gap between box score fact and viral outrage turned the play into culture war Tinder. OutKick headline writers called it woke privilege. Activist Riley Gaines claimed her press pass was yanked for asking about the slur, and Fox commentators urged the WNBA to treat Griner like any other player under investigation. Hashtag suspend Griner and stand with BG traded blows while conservative TikTok accounts racked up more than 40 million views on remix edits of the clip in just 24 hours.
If the inverse had been said by a white person, just imagine the outrage that would be taking place right now. There is just so much hypocrisy in every institution, but particularly the WNBA, who are very fond of virtue signaling. But even when it comes to Brittney's exchange for like the Merchant of Death, which is insane, by the way, but had that been just like a straight white girl, my guess is that straight white girl would probably...
But virality rarely stops at play-by-play. As the league stayed silent, comment threads dug up old Russian prison headlines, speculated about AI gender scans, and pushed claims that Griner's very eligibility should be retested. In less than a day, a routine foul had morphed into a referendum on fairness, identity, and free speech, setting up the next battlefront, a hashtag war that spills past press rows and into policy debates. The internet did what referees couldn't. It replayed the elbow millions of times and chose sides overnight. Within 12 hours, X was a battleground of dueling tags. Hashtag suspend Griner versus stand with BG, each amplified by partisan sports channels and culture war pundits. Conservative site OutKick and activist Riley Gaines claimed the league punished dissent by yanking their media credentials. Fuel for commentators who already framed Griner as untouchable woke royalty. Meanwhile on TikTok, creators stitched, slowed, and zoomed the same 6 seconds into mashups that racked up more than 34 million views in a single scroll, dwarfing the WNBA's official highlight feed. Each remix cranked outrage louder, some over a supposed racial slur, others blasting fake news, and a noisy minority pushing the wild theory that Griner's very biology should be re-examined.
Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man. And one of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. It says on here 109 weeks ago, and I believe this was screenshotted and posted a year ago. So quite a while. Let's go ahead and watch this, and we'll talk about what we think after.
Swaggy, Brittney, Let me see something real quick. Brick! Thank you! Get the hell out of here, yo! Yo! Jab stepping, just a brick. Swing and a miss!
The league's press office issued zero clarifications, no audio forensics, no statement beyond game under review. That silence left influencers free to narrate their own versions of events, turning one flagrant foul into a proxy war about free speech, race, and who gets to sit courtside with a camera. And as the hashtags climbed, so did the stakes. Sponsors watched sentiment graphs nosedive, while politicos smelled a talking point goldmine. Next up, a decade-old prisoner swap headline crashes back into the conversation, dragging Griner's past and the WNBA's PR team into even rougher water. Long before one elbow set social media ablaze, Brittney Griner had already been cast as the face of geopolitical drama. In 2022, she spent 10 months in a Moscow penal colony after Russian customs found a vape cartridge in her luggage. The White House finally secured her release that December, but only by trading Victor Bout, the Russian arms kingpin nicknamed the Merchant of Death. Critics on Capitol Hill blasted the deal as lopsided, calling it the worst trade in sports or diplomacy history, and pundits argued that Griner's race, sexuality, and celebrity got her priority over ex-Marine Paul Whelan, who remains behind bars. Those swap headlines never really died, they just lay in wait. So when the Suspend Griner hashtag erupted, political influencers reached back for the Bout trade to frame her as a protected elite who skated on both foreign and domestic consequences. News segments replayed grainy tarmac footage, Griner boarding a US jet, Bout hugging Russian officials.
Is to say that this person is not a female. Firstly, because this was actually posted to Brittney's personal Instagram. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors, but specifically the AI detection to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a bare female chest, we have to take this down. It obviously assumed that Brittney was male and therefore being topless on the platform was totally fine. It did not constitute.
And asked if the WNBA star had become a pawn twice over. First to Moscow, now to America's culture war. And it didn't stop there. Comment threads revived an old interview in which a pundit claimed if she were just a straight white girl, she'd still be stuck in that cell. The line went viral, feeding a narrative that Griner enjoys unspoken immunity. Every retweet pushed the spotlight hotter, setting up the next flashpoint. A resurfaced Instagram story that conspiracy blogs insist proves she shouldn't be in women's basketball at all, because the internet always finds more fuel and the fire was just getting started. The outrage machine found fresh fuel when an old Instagram story resurfaced. A grainy, topless clip of Brittney Griner joking with friends during an off-season run-through. Conspiracy pages framed the footage as courtroom evidence that Griner is biologically male, insisting that Instagram's own AI must have recognized a male torso or the post would have been flagged. The claims swirled fast. Threads demanded DNA tests, and fringe YouTubers flashed pseudo-medical charts comparing shoulder width and jaw angles.
WNBA's Brittney Griner is in fact a man. And where a lot of this actually surfaced from, and I mean, you guys could probably say like, yo, isn't it obvious? Like her voice, you know, there's a lot of things that you can kind of look towards. However, this video actually resurfaced. It's an Instagram story from, I believe it says 109 weeks ago. I can't see from here, but over 2 years ago, that this video was recorded and it was recently leaked on Twitter. So Kelly, if we can go ahead and play this video, please, and then we'll have a discussion.
Swaggy, Brittney, let me see something real quick. Brick! Thank you! Get the hell out of here, yo! Yo! Jab stepping, just a brick. Swing and a miss!
Then came the bombshell, a screenshot styled as a CNN bulletin saying Russian officials had ordered a chromosome test on Griner back in 2022. It looked legit, spread like wildfire, and racked up millions of impressions until Reuters tore it apart as a complete fabrication. Snopes and PolitiFact piled on, reminding everyone that identical rumors have been debunked since Griner's college days, and that she has publicly discussed being misgendered because of her 6'9" frame, deep voice, and androgynous style. Medical experts quoted in those fact checks called the AI-detected male anatomy argument junk science. Content filters don't perform chromosome scans, and an athlete's bone structure alone can't prove anything about sex or gender. Yet the silence from league headquarters let speculation snowball. In comment sections, biological advantage talk began eclipsing the original elbow debate, shifting the conversation from sportsmanship to sex verification, exactly the flashpoint activists on both sides wanted. And with every rumor click, pressure mounted on the WNBA to speak up or risk letting a baseless medical conspiracy rewrite the rules of women's basketball. But the league stayed quiet, setting the stage for Section 5, where that silence collides with sponsors, lawmakers, and a brewing fairness versus inclusion storm. On paper, the WNBA has a clear answer. Rule 13, Section 2, B2 calls for an automatic technical foul and possible supplemental discipline for any unsportsmanlike or abusive act. Yet 3 news cycles after the elbow, league headquarters has said nothing beyond no further comment. That vacuum lets viral clips, not officials, dictate public perception. Meanwhile, the political ground is shifting fast. A pending federal bill, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act of 2025, would bar athletes whose biological sex at birth was male from female divisions. 27 states already enforce similar bans, and in February, the NCAA tightened its own policy, limiting women's events to student athletes assigned female at birth. Against that backdrop, every hour of WNBA silence is framed by pundits as proof the league is ducking the same standards everyone else is rushing to codify. Sponsors and broadcasters are watching sentiment graphs in real time. If outrage keeps climbing, or if lawmakers decide the WNBA is flouting new federal guidance, brand partners could walk, media deals could wobble, and rival athletes might file competitive integrity lawsuits. Bottom line, the cost of saying nothing rises by the minute, and both Griner's legacy and the league's credibility are now on the clock. At just 23, Caitlin Clark has turned the Indiana Fever into a traveling sellout act. Midseason reports show ticket demand up 265% and jersey sales up 1,193% with her number. 22 tops shattering every WNBA merch record and even ranking second across both NBA and WNBA last year. Corporate America noticed. Clark's 8-year, $28 million Nike deal is already the richest shoe contract ever signed by a women's basketball player, and analysts now project her star power could push league revenue near $1 billion in 2025, a figure unheard of 12 months ago. With fame comes a split-screen reality. One side shows Beatlemania. Fever road games feel like home crowds, and Pacers fans call her a good luck charm when she pops up at NBA Finals games. The other side is harsher. Online trolls blame her for every league controversy, and security now shadows her from bus to locker room after viral threats. Sports psych experts warn that such whiplash attention, hero to millions, target to thousands, can spike cortisol and sap performance, especially for rookies expected to carry a franchise. Yet the brighter Clark's spotlight burns, the darker the shadows around competitive fairness grow. Because if a single rookie can move money, ratings, and policy discussions this fast, the next question is unavoidable. Who gets to share her court? And that leads straight into Section 7, where scientists and civil rights lawyers square off over inclusion, biology, and the future of every women's league on Earth. When a 6'9" all-star shoulders a league, every side calls in its specialists. On one flank, sports medicine researchers cite hard physiology. Adult males average 10 to 30% more upper body strength and bone density, advantages that training alone can't erase. They warn that without clear sex-based categories, women's records and women's safety will crumble. Across the aisle, civil rights lawyers argue that blanket bans punish a tiny population for political optics. They invoke the IOC's own fairness and inclusion framework, which urges case-by-case review, not chromosome policing, and note that 26 academics have already blasted the IOC for retreating from that stance under pressure. US policy is whipsawing between those poles. 27 states now barred transgender girls from girls' sports, while February's NCAA overhaul, spurred by a Trump-era executive order, locks women's divisions to athletes assigned female at birth. Supporters hail the move as overdue clarity. Opponents call it codified exclusion that could breach Title IX. In Washington hearing rooms, lawmakers brandish the same Griner-Clark clip to argue both sides. One camp warns of unfair advantages, the other of sweeping discrimination. And as scientists debate muscle fibers and lawyers debate civil rights, the WNBA sits squarely in the crossfire, forced to decide whether its future leans toward lab-verified fairness or open-door inclusion. The clock is ticking because the next whistle might trigger more than a foul. It could rewrite the rules for every women's league on Earth. If league investigators confirm a racial slur, Griner likely eats a multi-game ban and a six-figure fine. Simple enough. The headache starts if public pressure forces biological testing. One abnormal result could unleash lawsuits from rival players claiming lost prize money or unsafe conditions, and injury attorneys are already circling. Sponsors watch the sentiment graphs. A single week of brand unsafe chatter can trigger escape clauses. Shoe deals pause. Floor logo contracts shrink. Ad buys vanish. If a few marquee partners blink, the WNBA's record-breaking revenue curve flattens overnight and broadcasters quietly slide games back to off-peak slots. Then there's Paris 2024. Griner sits on Team USA's long list. If eligibility questions erupt mid-summer, the Olympic Committee must either clear her publicly, staking gold on a lightning rod decision, or leave her home and face accusations of political cowardice. Either way, another media cycle ignites. Bottom line, every day of silence multiplies the risk. Fines, lawsuits, sponsor exits, and international fallout. One lab test or leaked email could topple the whole board. One shaky courtside video took just 6 seconds to watch and flipped an entire league on its head. From an elbow and an alleged slur, we've traced a trail through #wars, prisoner swap politics, medical conspiracies, billion-dollar sponsorships, and the razor-thin line between fairness and inclusion. At every turn, silence from the top let rumors sprint faster than fact. So the question now isn't whether Brittney Griner committed a flagrant foul, it's whether a single viral moment should be allowed to rewrite the rulebook for women's sports. Should leagues default to lab tests every time a clip outrages the internet, or do we risk erasing decades of hard-won opportunities by chasing rumors down every rabbit hole? Before you swipe to the next outrage, hit pause, ask where the evidence ends and the echo chamber begins, because the way we answer today will decide who gets to take the court tomorrow. If the stakes feel sky high, that's because they are one whistle, one policy, one lawsuit could redraw the boundaries of every women's league on Earth. Think about that the next time a 6-second clip floods your feed. And if you want the next layer of this story, subscribe and stay locked in, because the replay might be finished, but the consequences are just tipping off.